Wednesday, best day of the week for me right here. Yeah, woohoo. Oh, I'm so glad to see so many faces here this morning. We have a really, really good program today. I'm really excited because there's it's a little bit different, but I'm excited. We have someone here who presented before as well, so we're good. Did everybody get their coffee this morning? Are your eyes all sparkly and you're excited now? I want to talk a little bit. This is the reason. We have a really great sponsor for our coffee. We have Big Mamas, and believe it or not, they have been sponsoring our coffee for this last year, the whole year. And every week, they're donating about 100 cups of coffee. Now, I used to own a coffee shop, and I know how much that costs. I charge $2 a cup. So if you get a chance, go down and say hello to them and tell them we sent you their way, because honestly, as entrepreneurs, we all know, we need business. So how many people are here for the first time? Oh, good. And how many people here are entrepreneurs or business owners? Excellent. All right. Well, this is awesome. Well, this morning, without any further ado, I'm going to get started. We have our first presenter is Clue Pursuit with Miranda Mills. She is awesome. Give her a big hand.
Good morning. Here to talk about Clue Pursuit Live. It's a live mystery game for nearly all ages. We provide a new and fun entertainment experience that is enjoyable for almost all ages. Friends, families, coworkers, and youth or school groups can all have fun at this. We took an online gaming concept and brought it to life, and it's not your grandma's game of Clue. We found live escape games when we went to Greece last May on vacation. We had spent most of our time on the islands, and we had only a day and a half to visit Athens, so I looked up on TripAdvisor before we got there to try to see which temples, which statues were the must-see things, and the number one thing on TripAdvisor was called Athens Clue. Had 5 stars, hundreds of reviews, and Ken and I were like, what the heck is this? Reading about it, it sounded like everybody had a lot of fun, but we didn't really know. The best we could tell is it was like a mystery dinner theater without the dinner. So we played, and they showed us to a room. He took us in and said, this is the office of John Monroe. He was a detective that was working on a murder case when he was murdered. You have 60 minutes to figure out who murdered him to be able to escape the room. He said, if you hear the phone ring, look up in the corner, and you'll see a clue on the screen. And good luck. So for the next 60 minutes, Ken and I pretty much tore the room apart, pulling out drawers, looking for clues, putting puzzles together. And after we were done, we didn't get out. We were one step away, but we had so much fun that when we were at the Parthenon, we were talking about Athens Clue, looking at this great thing, but we were still so stuck on how much fun we had. So we started planning the next day on our flight home, how can we open one of these at home? When we first got back, we searched all over online, and all we could find in the United States were 2 instances of escape games. One was in Connecticut, and it was a one-room operation, and there's one in San Francisco that was one room. And there weren't any franchises, so we started working with somebody in Bangkok at first. That all fell through, but we heard back from the original designer of the game that we played in Athens, and now we are working with him. He has a contract with us where he will not sell the games in the United States to anybody except us. Since then, they have been popping up everywhere. When we were working on trademarking our name, we had to change our name several times because they'd say this one was available, and 2 days later it had been taken. So they're starting to pop up everywhere. How we differ from some other escape rooms is most of the other ones are for large groups, and you can be with strangers. So all the booking is online with all these companies, and if you only have 5 people that want to go, then they still have like 20 other spots, and so you're in the room with a group of strangers. Ours is a little on a smaller scale, but we have more rooms. We can have 3 to 6 people. Some we could even have 10 people in a room. So you get to play with only your friends or your group. A lot of those places will also have one showing. They call it a showing, and it's a room, and they'll have that for several months, and then they'll close and have another one. We have 5 different rooms, 2 of the same rooms on Monroe rooms. We have 2 of those. So then we can introduce games on a rolling basis, so we still have other game rooms open. We are only open for online bookings for Thursday through Sunday. You can book any day of the week, but our hours are from Thursday afternoon until Sunday evening. We are reserving Tuesday and Wednesdays during the day for team building. We've had a lot of companies call in for team building. One company, the one in Bangkok, they actually had a psychologist on staff that watches your team play and then analyzes everything. We're not that big yet. This year we also want to open one in Dallas and in Kansas City. This is the lobby of our Springfield location. We've only been open, we had our first trial run about 2 weeks ago, and we've had about 25 groups come through. So far we had 19 5-star reviews on Facebook and 6 5-star reviews on TripAdvisor. Some of the reviewers have said it's the most family fun I've ever had in Springfield and such a blast, one of the most fun things I've ever done. So that's really exciting. This is our contact information. Come back to that. We thought some people are going to ask how much it costs. It's all based on how many people you have in a room, not the room itself. So if you have a group of 3 to 4 people, it's $25 a person. If you have a group of 5 to 6, then it's $22 per person. And then we do have group rates available for more than that. You just have to call in so we can schedule you and tell you which rooms would be better suited for your group. We are offering a coupon code 1,000,000 cups for 15% off if you book by the end of February.
Excellent. So tell us a little bit more about the inspiration. You started this for the first time. You did it in Athens. Tell us about the scene and what exactly you were solving.
Okay, it was set up like a detective's office. It had a desk, typewriter, old bookshelf, luggage, lamps. Just looked like an office, but then there were also some lasers, secret rooms that you had to get into. After we decided to do this and we spoke to the game designer, he told us that he also had some in London, several game rooms there. So we spent a weekend in London where all we did was we went and played like 5 game rooms. And it was just the 2 of us, and we only escaped out of one. It's really hard with just 2 people. The more people you have, the easier it is because they're designed for 3 to 6 people. But
how many people have played and how many people have successfully gotten out of the room?
Out of the 25 groups that came through for trials, only 1 has successfully escaped, but every group has had fun. We think that will grow too, because this was also testing for our game masters. How it works is you're in a room and you're under closed circuit surveillance, and we have a control room where they can see you and hear what you're doing, so the game masters can send in better clues. And so this was a lot of practice for them too, seeing how to move people along. The goal isn't to help everybody get out of the room, it's to help them have fun along the way. You don't want a group to be stuck on something for 10, 15 minutes, because then they're not having fun. It's just to move the process along.
So you mentioned that you had a game designer originally that was helping you along with the rooms. Tell me about first the importance of a game designer, and then the agreement that you arrived at where he will not sponsor any other games here in the country, and why that's been important to you.
These started in Hungary. I guess the very first escape rooms were in Hungary, and then they just started spreading through Europe. He is working on one in LA right now. He's the only one that will have his game designs in the United States besides us, but it's all very cutting edge and forward thinking. It's not like, it's really hard to explain until you go and play one, and I don't want to tell you about it because then give away the clues, but most of the stuff we would have never been able to come up with on our own, because there's like none of the ways out of a room are a key. It's never a key. It's usually some kind of electronic thing that triggers something open. So after time, we would be able to design some on our own and come up with our own, but with going into a contract with him, since we want a franchise too, we wouldn't be able to come up with that many. So he's working 10 game rooms at least a year to roll out.
Could you talk a little bit about your current marketing channels, how you're getting word out about this, and kind of future marketing channels?
All right. Most of our marketing is done online, and that's how the other escape rooms have grown so much too. Word of mouth, also on the end. Let's see. Okay, so after every room plays, we have different signs in the lobby, and there's all different kinds of props. The signs, if you don't get out, say next time, so close. And we post these on our Facebook page and Twitter, and then they can tag themselves in it or share, and then that's how it's all grown in the other escape rooms. And then we have the one, this team in the middle there is the first team to escape, and they play the Jack Travis room. So we also have flyers. We're working with online marketing giant with our SEO. We're getting ready to do an ad. It won't be on TV, but for the YouTube, what are those ads called? But the ones that pop up before YouTube ad. Springfield Business Journal, we're going to submit something to them in 417 magazine. Most of it is word of mouth, and especially in the beginning because it will change things as needed. I'm sorry, what? The three main reasons why we're doing this? Because we had so much fun when we did it, and the more places that we found, everybody was having fun. Ken has owned Cox Surfing since 2004, and we knew how to somewhat run a business. This is going to be on a grander scale.
Hello. I think one of the, kind of to go forward on what she was saying, one of the main reasons we did it was we found something fun that was just completely new to us, and we knew nothing like that was in, America. Just something, thinking about coming back home and doing the same old dinner and a movie, or, the art walk once a month. There's just such limited things to do out there for groups. We were like, this is something that would hit home with anybody. I mean, we've had grandmas already come through. We've had, people bring their kids 10 and up, or, a great age, because they, even at that age, have enough attention span. The clues keep them going, and it's excited. They feed off their parents' excitement. So it's just so exciting for us. We've been in the control room pretty much every time their group has gone through at this stage. And just watching the excitement that everybody's had, seeing something fun, watching them come out, it's just been, kind of living out the dream that we thought it was going to be. She was looking for, I guess one of the things, she was working from home for the past year and a half, looking for something else to do, and we were like, this is perfect, because, when you get to do something you love, it's easy to do.
Yes, so this is awesome and exciting. It seems really cool. One of my question is that kind of theme or attraction style nights out are, waning in popularity. You see miniature golf and laser tag and bowling and things like that, kind of falling by the wayside now as those places close and people want to stay at home and look at their tiny smartphone screens all night. What is a way that you guys are going to be able to differentiate yourselves and not just convince people that it's going to be fun, but convince people that it's going to be worth getting out of the house for?
That's a good question. One of the largest groups that this originally appealed to was the gamers, because these games started online. They were a point-and-click game. Can you escape the room? And you put all these things together online or with apps on your phone. But this is just bringing it to life. So to have, I think, no matter how many games you have on your phone, you still want to have a fun way to interact. It's not. And when you come in, we do take the phones and put them in. You can't get the phones out in the room to take pictures, so it forces you to interact for 1 hour only.
That's good. That's good.
Okay, so I know I'm a college student, and there's a lot of other college students here, and I was just wondering, have y'all considered doing like a student night or student discount? Because I know it seems like something that a lot of college students would like to do. But if you're picking between like that for an hour and like watching a movie for like $12 or however much, I don't know, like if you're on a tight budget, then that's kind of like.
We might, not right at this time, we aren't planning a college night, but because we're only open Thursday through Sunday at this time, we are eventually going to expand our hours to Tuesday and Wednesday nights as well, and one of those we might have a college night. But for the beginning, we're just trying to get all of our game masters trained and scheduling for Tuesdays and Wednesdays during the day for corporate bookings. And there are group rates, so the more that you have in a group, then the cheaper it'll get. We have a book group for May 3rd that it's $20 a person, $18 a person, just larger groups. So.
What made you guys decide to do this? I don't know why it's like that. What made you guys decide to do this in Springfield as opposed to Branson with all the tourism there?
Well, we have a really good location. We wanted to open in Springfield just because we are from here, but we are going to be advertising in Branson a lot too for the tourism. We are 1 block north of Bass Pro, so we think that everybody that comes to see Bass Pro, we're going to work with, put our advertising next to Bass Pro advertisements so we can get those groups too. Basically why we didn't want to do it in Branson, we might open a couple of rooms down there just seasonal, but because it is seasonal in Branson and Springfield, at least there's more traffic throughout the year in the winter months.
How do you get people to become a repeat customer? I mean, is it kind of like a one and done type thing? When do they kind of get tired of it? You know, I mean, spending $20 plus. You know, is it something that's exciting enough that you'll do it again and it's going to be like inherently different?
Well, for all the companies in Europe and the ones that have been in the United States, that's why we have 6 game rooms, is because the other ones that started, they had repeat customers, and they're like, we've already played your 2 rooms, we want another one. So they were wanting to come back, and we thought the same thing. In Europe, when we played, it was like $38 a person, so it was a lot more, but it was worth it to us because it was something that we had never done. And then when we went to London, it was more expensive there. This is cheaper than it is anywhere in the United States because it's Springfield. So we're hoping that the experience, we are going to be offering, you know, on our Facebook page, we post online coupon codes, and with having the 6 different game rooms, you know, somebody's played the Jack Travis, everybody that's come through and played already, like, oh my gosh, that was so fun, I want to come play another one. So.
Hey, I had just had my kids in Las Vegas where we went to CSI, which was somewhat similar to this, and I was really surprised that my 15-year-old, that was the single best thing. He wouldn't participate in a lot of things. You know, he's too cool now and doesn't want to hang out with mom and dad, and especially not around his little brother, you know. Yeah. But he was infatuated with the whole CSI thing, and so that surprised me. But also, I'll tell you that the only, you know, if you said what would make this better, is exactly what you hit on with CSI was set up to where you had to wait for enough people for your group to go through, and then also there were 3 different stagings all intermingled at the same time. So you're looking to solve your murder or whatever it is, but then you see something else and you're like, oh, that looks so cool. I wish that was my, you know, my scenario, but it wasn't part of your deal. So I think you cut down on that confusion of all the cross groups intermingling by having it, you know, like you're talking about doing. So I'm definitely going to tell my 15-year-old about it because he was really pumped about it.
Thanks.
So I just wanted to say kudos for trying to make something better that's already out there that really works.
Thank you.
That's great.
I saw the Vegas one pop up. It wasn't open when we first started working on these last May, and we had thought about, ooh, a Vegas room, but then that one popped up. I'm not saying we won't, but.
So just trailing off of that a little bit, I think that I personally was unaware of anything like this, much less being in Springfield. And I think that the audience, there's probably a lot of members here that were of the same opinion. So you're here to spread the word of mouth, and you'll tell your friends, and everybody here will tell their friends. But I think that there's a bigger picture that Springfield and maybe the suburban cities at large, are you moving towards any initiatives to really raise awareness? If so, what are those?
think she's looking at me for that. Right now, we're open to ideas. It was, like I said, I own Cox Roofing, completely different market, a brand that's been out there for 30 plus years. Don't have to do the same thing. Something that we're building from scratch. We've worked with Brett Curry at Curry Market, an online media giant, for some ideas. But our biggest thing has been the social media push. That's just where the core group of people that are going to be interested in this is going to spread the word rapidly. We've been just blown away at how fast the word has spread organically before we were even open to the public. But right now, that's something that we're open to ideas and suggestions for, because we've really got that avenue planned. So yeah, still looking.
Well, that's what A Million Cups is here for. I think that there's a lot of people that are here in the audience that would have some ideas for you. As it relates to scalability, you guys are going to eventually reach, there's a point there you can't do much more business at the location that you are, and then you're considering another location, perhaps Dallas. Tell us what the road ahead looks like.
We want to open in Dallas and Kansas City this year. We were working in Dallas before we opened the Springfield location. It's just the economy is so booming down there. Every place that we found had been already leased by the time we had already put an LOI in the day we saw it. So it's just been really tough down there. We're going to work on Kansas City, but also in Springfield, we are going to be rolling out new rooms. So if somebody has played all 6 rooms, every 12 to 18 months, we're going to be bringing new game rooms in on a rolling start.
I forgot to ask one last thing. Where is it located here in Springfield?
We are on 1701 South Campbell. It's by the, what's that shopping center called? Where Mama Jeans and Red Wing Shoes Supplement Superstore. We aren't in the shopping center. We are just a little standalone brick building just north of there, right across from Purple Burrito.
Well, guys, before we close up, we've got just a couple of minutes here. There was an opportunity to help you guys with some spread the word ideas. I'm sure there's other places that people can get involved. So how can we as a community help you?
I think it's mainly in marketing, just new ideas in marketing. We don't, we've looked at the TV and radio and some of those things. We really don't feel like are a fit for this type of business. So that, and one of the things in the future, our goal right now is at the end of 2015 to have in place the franchise documents so that in 2016 we can start selling franchises. We want to have 3 corporate stores and then start franchising, and that is completely just unknown territory for us. We've got a franchise attorney out of Kansas City that's working with us, but there's so much involved, that we don't know about. So getting connected with the right people that can start to market the franchise for us, that can help us put a budget together for franchising, that's all something that we are very much, in need of information for.
Great, guys, thank you. Good. Okay, well, the middle of the show is time for announcements. So you can see up on the board here, we'll just rattle off some things here. The Big Data Dance is March 17th. That's here at the E-Factory, $135. If Jeff Schmedke was here, I'd give him a hard time. He'll do the binary dance. Everybody get it? No? The Building the Ultimate Business Plan, you can talk to Rayanna back here, which is the 11th and 12th here at the E-Factory, 139. And then the Real Estate Investors Group meets over on Pasta Express at 6 p.m. on the 19th. The same day here at the E-Factory is the Mid-America Technology Alliance. It's in the lounge. There's wine and food, and you get to hear from some exciting speakers about changing technology landscape. But without further ado, we'll go ahead and introduce our second speaker of the day, who is Rachel Anderson. She holds office now here at the E-Factory as the entrepreneurial specialist, and she's really made some waves when she came in here. We're really excited to have a little bit of help here at the E-Factory. But she is presenting again her startup called Alumni Spaces, which was very exciting to hear from her the first time. She'll be back to present some milestones and the journey from then to now. So, Rachel?
Thank you. So as Chad said, my name is Rachel Anderson, and I am with Alumni Spaces. So I want to focus this presentation pretty much on what has happened since we last presented, but I'll still give you a little bit of an overview so you have a good idea of what we do. So basically, we help university alumni associations better engage, interact with their alumni members, and then also work to increase their active donor base, because that's what every alumni association is looking for here. So Alumni Association has 3 team members. In addition to myself, there's Nick Trusty and Andrew Saforic. We're all actually originally from Missouri. Andrew's from Republic, so just down the road here. We met at the University of Missouri. We were all involved in student government. So I served as student body president. Andrew, the one here on my left, served as student body vice president. And then Nick was the director of student activities. So I like to say we have a long history of working together. It's almost like working with your siblings. So we've kind of worked out, all the kinks and know how to ruffle each other's feathers, but also know kind of when to back off too. So work really well together. Both of them live in New York City. They've lived there for about 6 years. So I lived in Los Angeles for the previous 2 years and just moved back to Springfield about a year ago. So the nice thing about owning a technology business is you can choose where you get to work from. So I'm really happy that I made the decision to live in Springfield and then kind of commute to New York sometimes as well. So last time we presented, I had Nick and Andrew join via Skype, so they got to answer some questions. So they're not going to join us here today via video conference, but they are active on the Twitter feed, so feel free to tweet out to them if you have any questions for them as well. So they're kind of anxiously by their computers. So since we last presented, we applied and were accepted, one of 10 startup companies for the Entrepreneurs Roundtable Accelerator in New York, one of the top 15 accelerators in the US. So really excited about it. What was neat is when I actually went out there to interview for it as well. And the same day that we interviewed, we found out that we were selected, so one of the final round interviews. So down below, you kind of see a picture of us celebrating that we did get into this accelerator. So previously, kind of prior to the accelerator, we were having to bootstrap. So, I obviously had a full-time job before joining the eFactory, and then both Nick and Andrew were web developers, so had other companies kind of on the side. And then as we had time, usually, weekends, evenings, we were trying to kind of dedicate to Alumni Spaces. Even though we already had some current clients, it just wasn't a high enough revenue for at least them to go full time. So the accelerator did give us an investment, so that allowed us to, really transition and focus on growing Alumni Spaces quickly. So Nick and Andrew are actually working full time on Alumni Spaces right now, and then I, luckily with the eFactory, get to work on it as well, kind of throughout my day. So pretty neat. They match you with mentors. We've had great legal advice, accounting advice, all kinds of different people who have grown, sold their businesses. At the end of the accelerator, which is a 4-month program, started in January, we will have a demo day both in New York and San Francisco. So we kind of had our initial round, but we'll do a Series A funding investment here in a few months, so stay tuned. So what is our product? One of the exciting updates is we do have websites available for alumni chapters. Previously when I spoke, we were charging $200 a year, so kind of a nominal fee for those chapters. We are now making that free. So that's kind of launching this week and next week. So right now you can go to our website, sign up to be on the waiting list, and then next week we're giving free access to these alumni chapter websites. We're able to do that because our strategy was sign up a lot of different alumni chapters. That way we know what alumni chapters are looking for as we kind of built out our enterprise model that we sell into alumni associations that I'll explain in just a minute. So it was really great for us because we designed a template that's easy to use. If you think about alumni chapter members, a lot of times they haven't had any prior web development experience. We also could kind of custom fit something to meet their needs. So now that we kind of gained that intel over the past year, we're excited to really kind of grow our business development pipeline by giving them the service, letting them use it, and then they're kind of our own internal advocates to the Alumni Association to adopt our platform. So here's a few of the universities where we already have chapter websites. We just sent out an email yesterday announcing that they could sign up for our registration list, and already have 20 other people signed up. So next week, once we let them know that it's available, they will also join, and I'll have some more logos to add to this slide. So our other kind of model, which is really the way our business is going, is called Symphony. And so it is a network of these ensemble sites, so a network of websites for different chapters that also funnels back information into the Alumni Association. So Alumni Associations now have a real-time reporting, knowing what events are happening this next week, what's working well. They can replicate that elsewhere. They also have a presence in case maybe they don't have someone in Philadelphia right now but are trying to grow that chapter. They can have a web presence there. Really great for brand consistency, because if any of you have seen some of the former chapter websites, some of them look pretty rough. They might not even have the right logo. Alumni associations really like this. The other neat thing is that we can build in custom reporting tools, or kind of a custom suite for them. So for example, the University of Missouri, who we worked with to build out this product, also kind of gives money to their chapters based off of what kind of milestones they do. So, you have to have like 5 watch parties, or maybe you have a scholarship event. Well, instead, before, they were entering this information like in 5 different databases, or having to email their alumni liaison, and we make it all, you enter it into your website. That goes to the National Alumni Association. And not only that, but then you can also tweet it from there, share it on Facebook, create an Eventbrite. So we really have kind of streamlined 6 different databases, or 6 different inputs that people were doing into one. So pretty excited about that. So here's kind of some of the things that I mentioned. One of my favorites that we're also trying to do is slay the email monster. So if you're like me, you get a million different emails a day, and it's really hard to keep up with. So this keeps everything in one place. The other thing, it's really great because you don't have to have sticky notes or even paper files anymore that translate with different alumni volunteers, because you have it all kind of logged in this historical database. So pretty excited about it. Like I said, we worked with the University of Missouri to develop it. Last time I presented, they were our only kind of enterprise client at the time, because we really wanted to make sure we got the product right before we went out to the National Alumni Associations. It's a really close-knit industry and group, so if you were kind of new to the market, because a lot of the other kind of competitors out there have been there for a really long time and everyone uses them, so if you're going to disrupt the market, you better make sure you know what you're doing. So that was really important to us. I'm happy to say that since I last presented, so about 6 months ago, we've signed the University of North Carolina, which is really great in the alumni world. They're really well known, have one of the largest alumni numbers just because of their age of the university. So pretty excited about that. And we also have a lot of other universities that we have kind of active late-stage discussions with that will hopefully become clients in the next few months. The other thing that we started doing, because of this investment, it gave us the opportunity to start presenting at conferences. So higher education conferences, really great way to get our name out there. It's also pretty cost-effective for us, so instead of traveling to 15 different universities to meet with everyone face-to-face, we're able to go to these conferences, pre-set appointments, let them have a feeling of who we are and really get to know us in person. I'm actually headed to Orlando on Sunday, so pretty excited about escaping the cold weather for a few minutes to present at one of these conferences. The other thing that we did is we bought alumniresearch.org. So when we were really looking into the market before we started this business, there wasn't a lot of research out there about what works for alumni chapters, how to replicate that, different groups of different sizes. And so we started this so we can really gain some intel to what chapters are doing, and we're going to share these results with everyone too. So pretty excited about that. You can go there if you work with a chapter, fill out the survey. We're giving away free inflatable football men, so kind of a fun thing to do as a good carrot for filling out that survey. So what's on our roadmap? These are some of the things that we're actively working on. So donation processing is the next really big step that we're going to take. So right now with alumni associations, you have development officers who are interacting with alumni kind of one-on-one for larger gifts. But if you guys have tried to give money to your alumni association, it's pretty hard to do that online, and you have to know exactly what you're looking to give to even make that possible. So this is something we're pretty excited about. New themes, right now we have 2 themes for our websites, but rolling those out on a quarterly basis so that people do have different sites, and then a few other things that I'm happy to talk about as well. So since then, it's already been mentioned, but I joined the E-Factory. So I get to spend my day really kind of channeled in 2 main things. So working with entrepreneurs in higher education. So it's really exciting to have all of my energy kind of down one path. So super excited about that. If you have a startup, happy to meet with you or discuss anything with you too and see how we can help you. So with that, here's my contact information and also with Alumni Spaces. Any thoughts that you all have, we're always looking for feedback, especially if you're involved in an alumni chapter. Or if you're a graduate of a university, we would love to talk to that university as well too. So.
Excellent. Rachel, I'll kick it off. The first thing that comes to mind when I see companies doing business with educational institutions is the really long sales cycle. When you're bootstrapping a company and you have to really make milestones and support your efforts by working another job, how have you been able to overcome that and produce a sustainable model?
Yeah, so especially as an entrepreneur, you really like to see results quickly and make that sell quickly. So sometimes we have even 3 in-person meetings before they become a client. So this is kind of both a good and bad thing. So like I said, the clients that are out there, they're not quite doing what we're doing. Nobody really is. But we do have, some competitors that people have been using to make their alumni association websites, et cetera. So they've been around forever. Everyone knows them. So like I said, we really wanted to make sure we knew what we were doing. The good thing is once they become a client, they really stick with you, right? Especially because it's harder to transition from. And then also because we're new. So they want to make sure we really know what we're doing. So we have really kind of mapped our, sales process based off of when they're making their decisions. You also have to think about, their fiscal year, which comes into play as well. So I think the conferences have really helped us. But honestly, having, University of Missouri, now North Carolina, as really big advocates, they have really opened the doors for other people. So attending conferences this year to get our name out, and then hopefully next year we'll actually be co-presenting with them. Just was down in Arkansas last week. I think University of Arkansas will hopefully become a client as well, so that will be another good one to have. So kind of being strategic about who we are working with early on, making sure we get that right, and then growing from there. But it is a longer sales cycle, and so we wouldn't have been able to do things without bootstrapping or without having that investment from ERA.
Great job, Rachel.
Thank you.
First off, or I guess only, getting into an accelerator for any tech startup's a big deal, especially for software as a service like you guys are. How was getting into that process for you, and what benefits do you see coming out of it that you wouldn't have had without it?
Yeah, that's a great question. So anytime you are thinking about giving up some sort of percentage of your company is pretty scary, right? So we had made the decision before not really to take on any additional funding because we didn't want to give up a percentage. We really got to the point where we were looking for the right fit, so it wasn't just about money to us, and I would encourage all of you to really think about that too, because you're giving up a part of your business. So for us, it was to the point where we weren't going to be able to kind of quickly grow until Nick and Andrew could focus on this full time. The mentorship piece was also really important to us because accelerator is kind of a hot topic right now, right? And a lot of people are out there and really willing to give you money. But look at what you're getting in return for it. So ERA in and of itself is really known for their mentorship program, the people that they have on site, who they're bringing in. They're out there like being our salespeople too, right? So it's pretty neat. One of the guys is like ex-McKinsey. I mean, they're the prestige that they bring to the program themselves is pretty neat. It was a pretty kind of scary process to start with, so we had to go through like 3 rounds of interviews. We only applied to 2 accelerators, so we applied to Techstars, which is really hard to get into, and most people take a few times. And then we applied to ERA, and we really narrowed those out. One, because they're in New York, so we wanted Nick and Andrew to be able to go into an office and interface with people on a day-to-day basis. And two, because of the prestige that that brings, and then two, also because of the mentors or the people that kind of come into the program. So it's been really great. Went through a few interview processes. It's rapid fire questions. You think politics is hard, try being an entrepreneur in a startup. So I know I'm speaking to a lot of people that understand that, but you have to know the ins and outs of everything. You have to be able to kind of show your pipeline, why you should succeed. But there are like thousands of people that apply and some that are selected each time. So we're pretty excited about it and excited. Honestly, it kind of validated our idea too, that they think we can make money from it. So.
Hey, Rachel.
Hey.
So the alumni research thing is really cool. Great idea. Obviously, your platform is going to be generating a lot of data, and having some way of harnessing and using that data is critical. Do you have any concerns that this could potentially be a loss of focus for alumni spaces and potentially move you away from your core?
Yeah, so initially when we kind of first started out, we knew this is something that could be replicated for different industries, right? It's not necessarily unique to alumni associations. So anything that has a structure where there's like different chapters and then a national association, so Girl Scouts, sororities, fraternities, Rotaries, that sort of thing. So that's kind of down the pipe. But we really wanted to focus on alumni. And so we've already found that we've kind of become experts in this quick amount of time frame because people are asking these same questions and the research wasn't there when we looked for it. So it seemed kind of silly that if we're collecting all this data and this research that we couldn't share and better the whole industry. And so that's really something that we're passionate about is, it doesn't have to be the way that it is and we can make this a better place. So we think that all of the associations and all chapters will get better because of this. The other thing, kind of from a selfish standpoint, is Andrew really loves this type of stuff. He took a lot of statistics classes in college, and so it's kind of like a fun pet project within alumni spaces for us to be able to work on. And then honestly, the technology that's out there, we're using a service called Typeform to do our survey, and then how it kind of aggregates the results. So it's really, this is kind of maybe a dirty little secret, but it's really not that hard to aggregate the results and make them into a format that people can use and hopefully benefit from too. So I think it's just going to enhance us, and honestly, it's going to help make us thought leaders. So that's another thing, right? So we're all, a little younger. I'd like to at least think, still call myself a little younger. But, when you're working with alumni associations, you're the new company on the block. You have these three people, who do they think they are? I worked in alumni development and relations for a few years, but I'm not, I don't have that 20 years history there. And so this is another way that I think they'll take us a little more seriously as well.
Rachel, great presentation. Enjoyed learning about the company. I am curious, you have been embedded in 3 different communities more or less as you started this company. Can you talk a little bit about, because I know that you have a passion for Springfield and there's clearly a reason you stayed, can you talk about what you've seen in the other communities in terms of startup culture and ecosystem, and then what you think that Springfield is doing well and what we can continue to develop in your confluence of both a startup founder and now an economic development professional?
Yeah, great question. So the 3 kind of communities I've lived in while I've had alumni spaces, and actually really my whole life, are Columbia, Missouri, Springfield, and then Los Angeles. So Columbia was great because you have a college town. I will say something that I felt in Columbia, especially being a little younger, was it's sometimes hard to be taken seriously because they kind of lump you in with students as well. So that was kind of surprising to me as a young professional in Columbia. Obviously, they foster an entrepreneurship culture and kind of do that and are headed down that road. But that was something that I kind of struggled with there. Once I moved to Los Angeles, moved to a big city, I'm going to have all of these really neat people that I'm going to interact with on a daily basis that are doing cool things and the amount of things I'm going to learn. What I found was I was in an office and you couldn't really go to as many different things as you wanted because it's going to take you an hour to get there. Even once you get there, people that are already kind of well connected within this group that have their network set up are still the ones that are doing different things. Can you break in and can you do stuff? Yeah. Was it harder? Yes. And so the funny thing was, I subscribed to a bunch of different publications. So Fast Company Inc., You know, I was reading through there, and everyone that really kind of lit a fire in my belly, I guess, had a connection to Missouri or had a connection to Springfield, or I was able to interact with those people because of a connection that I had from Missouri, Springfield. So one day it kind of dawned on me. I actually thought I was going to move to New York, so full disclosure. So I came back to Springfield to pay out my LA rent because I don't want to pay LA and New York rent at the same time. Thought I was going to move to New York. Moved back home with my parents for a few months, and then one day it just kind of hit me like, I love Springfield. Why am I fighting wanting to live in Springfield? And honestly, it was the cool stuff that's happening here, the cool stuff happening in the community, the supportive culture, the fact that people want you to succeed, want you to become better, have ideas, will open the Rolodex. It's a really friendly, supportive environment. And you can't get that everywhere. And the exposure and the executives that you're able to meet with, just send them an email and they'll meet with you. And that's pretty cool.
Yeah, hey, so could you describe a little bit, because you've worked with Nick and Andrew since college, right? So could you explain that relationship going from like student government to now working in a super professional setting, and then like that relationship you have there, and then also is that sustainable for the future, and where do you see potential growth in terms of staffing and different things like that?
Yeah, so great question. I think who you work with and the relationship you have with them is a lot of times better than your business idea, right? So if you don't have that good working relationship and can succeed and do well, support each other, it's going to be really hard for your business to succeed. Not that it's not possible. So I'm really glad that we have an environment where we know where each other is coming from. We can be honest, we can be upfront, especially with that distance. I mean, we have a video call every day at 9 a.m. We are on instant messenger kind of throughout the day, text message. I kind of joke that sometimes I see more than my parents. I mean, my parents are right here, but oh look, they're tweeting too. So they're here with us. So they're kind of always here with me. So it's really crucial that you have a good working relationship with people that you trust, you respect, and that will take you to the next level. And to answer your second kind of question, we already just hired a kind of UI developer who's helping the front end. So Andrew's a self-taught coder, self-taught developer. We built everything on the WordPress template, our WordPress platform, really customized our templates. So it's not that it's, not out of the box WordPress for sure, but we really needed someone that kind of thought of the whole user experience as they go throughout the process. So, some of our stuff could be a little prettier, and that's what we're working on now. And I think the next, we're going to continue to grow and continue to do that, but our culture and who we are as people and what's important to us, we really wanted to set kind of from the ground up. And I think we've been able to do that because we've been working together for a long time. I don't think it's always about the amount of time, but I think it's about finding the people that you have the right fit with.
That's excellent. Hey, I have a question.
Yeah.
Being transparent in your business model, putting it all out there, dedicating a part of your company to providing research in your field to become a thought leader is not the way of traditional business. And I think that there's a shift in the paradigm of you pay it forward into your industry rather than trying to just be the leader and extract as much as you can. So elaborate on how important that's been to your business model and the connections it's created.
I think that's a great question. So even visiting with Arkansas last week, they were discussing one of the companies who are kind of viewing as our competitor, and they were saying that this company makes all of the universities, one, pay for training, two, if they need additional training on something they weren't really trained on to begin with, they have to pay for that or pay to go up to where their location is. They are really hard to work with, not kind of, it's not easy to figure out how to do things, and so they've kind of almost, this is going to sound really harsh, but they've kind of almost like kidnapped their clients from going elsewhere and keeping them stuck there. And I know I would hate that. I would hate working in that environment. And like I said, we think there's a better way. So we came about this because I was working for the University of Missouri in development and alumni relations. Nick and Andrew were volunteering with a chapter in New York, and we all found that we need these easy-to-use, affordable websites because we want to increase, we place such a value on higher education and want everyone to be able to obtain that. And so at the end of the day, they're trying to raise money for scholarships and to kind of further education in the United States. And so we thought there had to be a better way. So we really came at it about solving a problem, not trying to just make as much money. I mean, obviously we have to be profitable if we're going to be able to do all of these things. But at the same time, I think it's that mindset that really changes, and they're not happy about it. I mean, now you're really starting to see these Alumni Association staff members pretty disgruntled about it, and that's why I think it's a really good time for us to disrupt the market.
Rachel, great presentation.
Thank you.
You mentioned earlier, and pardon me if I missed this, but since you're not charging for how are you making money? What's your long-term goal for pricing and generating revenue?
That's a great question. So we weren't, also kind of a secret, we weren't really making a lot of money off of those $200 a year websites, but it was a really great entry into knowing what the volunteers cared about. And then also, once you have 15 different schools kind of using your platform, knowing how easy it is to use, knowing what it's like to work with us, they're serving as our salespeople or our internal champions to the National Association. So we're really making our money off of our Symphony product. So the network of alumni websites that we sell to the national associations, and then all the reporting analytical tools that they get. We do, so the freemium model, we do have this free website. What we've had to date, it's going to continue to be free for everyone, so encourage you all, if you want to check it out, you can download it starting next week. You can sign up for it even if you're not necessarily a chapter volunteer. Any kind of feedback we'd love. But we are going to build in add-ons to that too, so if they want to add in donation processing to their site or have an online shop or something, they'll pay a very kind of small fee for that. But I honestly, we're expected to grow because of our Symphony product and then online donation and some of those other add-ins. That's how we're going to make our money.
Speaking on online donations, that's a huge task.
It's
It's a complete shift in your business model. What is it going to require from a staffing angle or just the hours dedicated from the company as a whole to be able to support that?
Yeah, so this was always something we've kind of had on our pipeline. It's also a little bit overwhelming. So we've been working, again, with our partners, so the University of Missouri, North Carolina, on hearing what's important to them as they are working on that donation model. The other thing that's happening nationally is alumni associations are now kind of expected to do some more fundraising. And kind of generate some of that revenue, and so that's overwhelming to them because they've never had to be fundraisers, and so this kind of helps make it possible. So again, it's kind of about timing that's working out for us, but through the accelerator, the mentorship that we can do there, I mean, other people who have added online donation processing to their record we've been meeting with, we have access to all of their mentors, and we're definitely aggressively setting those up. But again, I think the best way to do it is through those partnerships, so really hearing what's important and adding it in. And so we're not necessarily saying we're going to be those people that are getting those $1 million gifts. That's still going to happen with those development officers. But if you're signing up for an event for a watch party and having a really great time, and you want to also tag on $5 to your donation, all of that really adds up. And right now, that's not happening. And so we think there's a lot of possibility there.
So in the beginning, you had a lot of different pain points that you went ahead and attacked, and that's how you developed your core business model and grew it to this point. You mentioned the partnerships that you have and the conversations. How do you identify more pain points and qualify those as the next thing for Alumni Spaces to do?
Yeah, so that's great. It's always about conversation, so just kind of asking, what's your biggest pet peeve? We actually have a blog article on this, so it kind of ties in nicely, but we were visiting with University of North Carolina, so always kind of do like an initial setup. So what are you seeing a lot of alumni chapters doing? How can we help solve this? And one of theirs was people always misspell the word Tar Heels. So something really important if you're doing branding and kind of getting the word out about your university. So, with the technology of coding, we can kind of type in, if you ever spell it, Tar Heels, one word, or lowercase, it's always going to output externally to Tar Heels, two words, uppercase. So sometimes it's those simple things, but that was a huge pain point for them, right? Like, so branding, brand consistency, having a good, reliable, credible front for these alumni associations and these chapters, and that's something that we can help solve and help do. So it's honestly just about asking. So we try to stay really close to all the people using our product. We've invested in some additional technology to help kind of guide people through the setup of a free website. So that's kind of why it took us a little bit too, right? So we didn't want to just say, okay, it's free now, figure it out. So once they come on, walk them through the onboarding process, be able to ask them questions. Do you like this? Do you not? So we're constantly learning.
Rachel, tons of nuggets of wisdom from you today. I applaud your presentation. You've got just a couple of minutes here, so we've reflected on some of the milestones between last time you presented and here. What are some of the new things that we as a community might be able to help you with?
Yeah, so you're all alumni, I'm guessing, of some sort of organization. So would love to talk to whatever that group may be, so any kind of introduction, or even if you want to make that introduction for us, always open to that. The other thing that I'll say is, we are making our chapter websites free. So even if you're not involved in a local chapter, take it for a spin, see how it works. If there's something that's not intuitive, we want to know that. Sometimes once you're so close to something, you don't necessarily see something, so it might be glaring to you, but not for us. So we just want to make it better. But I think, just continuing to talk about it. The other thing is continuing to foster, this entrepreneurial culture in Springfield. Will help us, will help kind of all of you. So, we have something special here, and I think the more we focus on that, we all do better. So, thank you.
Thanks, Rachel. And thanks, Miranda. Great presentations. Hopefully next week we'll have 2 more presentations, but in 2 weeks, I think we mentioned this last time, I think I did, but we will celebrate our 1-year anniversary. And yeah, thank you, Alan. Thanks to Alan, thanks to Brian and the folks at the E-Factory. They've been great partners. And but anyway, 2 weeks we're going to have a party. We'll make a few brief comments. We'll have some food, coffee, no presentation, just a good time to network and maybe talk about what the past year has done, hopefully for the entrepreneurial community here in Springfield. So again, thanks for coming out. We'll see you next week.